Hello and good morning to our listeners from around the world. I want to welcome you to another edition of This Morning with Soulivity, broadcasting live from our studio right here in Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and of course, I am glad that you're here with us. We've got another great conversation that will empower you. And I'm joined by the right people, my very special friends, Candice, Harper, and Tami Gaines. Good morning, ladies.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Brian.
Hey, listen, all right, all right. That's what I'm talking about. That choral good morning. Want to remind people before we get started, we want you to comment. We want you to ask questions. Give us your thoughts during the broadcast. And also, please let us know where you are around the world. Just type right into the live feed on either YouTube or Facebook, and we'll do a shout out to you. For today's topic, I just want to have a warning to our adults that some of the information that we may share today may be unsuitable for young children. So if you got headphones or they're around, kind of like scoot them out of the room for a minute.
Really?
Listen,
Why?
yeah, really, really. Hey, there might be some stuff that they don't want to share. And listen, I'm going to begin this segment with a quote. This is from a wonderful article in Respin magazine entitled Exploring the Connection Between Sex and Spirituality. And it goes, for some, sexual and spiritual energy intertwine to create a holy sacred experience. Sometimes referred to as Shakti, the notion of sacred sexuality is based on transcendence, going beyond the physical and awakening the spiritual dimension within. There's an innate connection between the two, and each one of us can strengthen this connection through practice and intention, becoming conscious sexual beings. So you can guess today we're kind of talking about the connection between our spirituality and sex. And so I'm going to ask each one of you, do you believe that there's a connection? Do you believe that spirituality has a role to play? And if so, why? And so, Candy, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely do. I was reading also in the article, the other one we were talking about in Psychology Today about libido being life force, right? And that sex is all about creation, not just for
Hmm.
procreation, but what is more spiritual than creation? What
Right.
we create, what we, invoke, what is for those of us with a womb, I was in a women's healing circle, and we would even have the womb represent our creation, meaning, what artistic things are you coming up with? What new ideas? And I feel like all of those things are very connected. Like the way that we continue the life force and how we create is so deeply spiritual and so
Mm,
sort of embedded in how we see ourselves in a uh, non-linear and life connected way. And I love that you made the distinction, not religious,
right.
spiritual, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Tammy, what about you?
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I think back, well, without a doubt that there's, sexuality and spirituality are completely intertwined. And if you think about, I was thinking about like
Hmm.
adolescence, and I think there was some mention of that in this article. But if you take a look at how adolescents approach, I feel like it goes one of two
Mm.
ways depending on who you are at your core, like what your spirit tells you. So either you are going to go all everything with everyone, or and to me that's like that is a very unevolved approach.
Mm.
And yes, I believe you can even be evolved at at a young age. But then there's the other side, which is like very selective in who they align with,
Mm.
initially, even on a friendship level before it even gets
Yeah.
sexual.
Mhm.
Um, and that I think is a big distinction. Obviously, I've seen a lot of teenagers that come through my doors, including my own
Mm.
son. Um, so I think even from a young age, like we know that there's a spiritual connection. And
Mhm.
that's, I believe yourself, it drives your approach as a teenager.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you both know my answers, and the answer, of course, is yes. I think that, again, going to my basic belief system, which is we're spiritual beings living in a human existence right now, and you can't separate. You can try to separate the two, but it's there, it's real, and that our journey along this lifetime is to learn more how that connection can flow into our lives, and we can live and grow and learn more about it. Uh,
Mm.
I mean, oh man. Now Candice, you were talking to us about this article from Psychology Today, and I'm trying to remember there was a great quote in it. Do you have that article up?
I do.
It's
I
at
do.
the very beginning.
At the start of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a great quote.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, can you read that quote?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it says the act of sexual love should, by its very nature, be joyous, unconstrained, alive, leisurely, inventive, and full of special delight, which the lovers have right, which the lovers have learned by experience to create for one another. And this quote is actually from a sister. I don't know if obviously not saying this right.
Right.
Cistercian monk and Roman Catholic priest Thomas Merton from his book Love and Living. And it says he was
Mm,
writing about uninhibited erotic love between married persons, of course, because he's coming
of
from
cour
the
of
Catholic
course.
religion. But I believe that what he's talking about, what he describes, is also possible between two people who've developed a spirit, like Tami was saying, a spiritual connection, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And I think that's one other thing too. I think, do you guys believe that um in terms of spirituality and sex, is it just sex between two people? Is it your sexual life even if you're not with a partner? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Tami. I'll let you feel that.
I'm trying to sort out the question. Um, I was from my own experience. That's the only one I could speak from. Like for me, it was never just sex with another person. It
Right.
was, um, I had to have like a deep spiritual connection with that person before we even hit the bed.
Mm,
Yeah.
So I'm one of those, identity until I was in college.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I was just
That's just
very
which is
like,
fine.
no, it is what it is.
Mhm.
I just
Mhm.
hadn't met the right person. I wasn't connected with anybody up until then.
yeah,
Mm.
And I felt hood. So it's never, I think it's never just a person you're having, first of all, I call it making love. If you're with the right person, you're making love to another spirit.
yeah.
Andy, what about you?
Mm.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
What were you going to
go
say,
ahead,
Tami?
Tammy. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just cut myself off. I highly recommend Avatar. I know you guys think I'm
Oh,
Mm.
crazy. I brought this up before.
no,
No, no, no.
no, no. We
But the
love
way
Avatar. I love
okay,
Avatar.
so when they have sex in Avatar, they are literally connecting their two spirits and they become
Yeah,
one. They become one, and that is like you don't just do that with anybody. Like you have to find the right person that you're, spiritually connected to do that.
yeah. That's a beautiful thing. Like being able to find that sort of, it's almost like the nirvana of sexual interaction and connection. I have a very interesting sort of relationship with it just because I think because I have positioned myself as a relationship coach, people expect me to have like some sort of expertise and adeptness around sex, sexuality, and spirituality.
Mhm.
And similar to Tammy, like I didn't have sex until college as well because in my mind, I mean, I was raised in a Baptist Christian home and
Mm,
right? And sort of built
mm.
it in that really I was supposed to be married.
I heard that Tammy clapping in the
Clap to go along with your humming.
Right?
Where's my organ?
Right? There's a heaven organ. So I was supposed to be married, but at the very least, I was like, okay, the compromise will be at least it'll be a boyfriend. I thought that was the plan. And I would
Right.
say that my sort of adult experience with it is that I've always kind of, known that it's a different experience if there's spirituality involved. And I sort of have navigated with that in mind, sort of like part of the, I guess, search for those who I would connect with. Not that I'm a hard searcher, but part of my sort of paradigm around it was, if I don't have a spiritual connection, I'm not going to be interested necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, like, it took until my age now, and this may be TMI, now going through hormonal changes and menopause, for me to
Mm-hmm.
really be intentional
Mhm. Mhm.
about marrying spirituality and sex, like in an intentional way. Like, I've always
Right.
liked
Right.
people, or had an affinity, or even a love for anyone that I had sexual encounters with. But now I'm at a point where I'm like, you know what? Things ain't working the way they used to work.
Right.
It's
Right.
not
I
as
hear
easy to
you.
just
I hear
right?
you loud
So
and
now
clear.
I'm like, how do we make it like a tantric experience? How do we make it a Shakti? I'm like, what are some ways that we can really, blend our souls and involve other organs, when the ones that we usually just go to aren't as, spry and ready to go as they used to be.
Mhm. Mhm. I mean, when
So
that drop.
That is literally a state of mind,
well,
Candy.
yeah, I agree with you totally.
True.
I think I'm I think I'm on the other side. I'm not really sure, like, medically. Um,
Yeah.
but I think you're right. You just have to be more intentional,
Yeah.
but also, um, like, more like, going through menopause to me was like another phase of
Right.
Yeah.
so,
Right.
th- for me, it's been a like heightened interest. And I know
Mm.
that's backwards because a lot of people say the opposite, but I just feel myself. Um,
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
and I think like
I think that's it though. Yeah, I
yeah.
think that's it, Tammy. Yeah, I
Mm.
mean, we're not the same people that we were when we were 18,
Yeah.
right?
We have stuff.
I mean,
So I think if we could
mhm.
release, I don't know, Brian, I think this is where you're going, but if you're not connected with yourself, you can't possibly be connected to anybody else.
True. That's very true.
And I think that trickles over.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think that where I'm at with it is that sort of, like, there's been a disconnect, but it's very much like a roller coaster, because I find, because I'm in the thick of it right now, like, as
Mm,
far as the physical changes that are happening. And I'm
Mhm.
not a complaining person about it. Like, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh God, menopause. Like, I let myself heat up, and I just, I realize I'm experiencing, right? But
Well,
I definitely feel myself, like, I'll have days where it's like I want to just eat my partner alive. And then other days where I'm like, okay, I need distance. It's too hot.
uh-huh.
Don't look at me. Don't bother me.
And
You know, I,
and on yeah, and on that note, we gonna take a break and let things cool down. We'll be right back in 2 minutes, y'all.
right.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
And we're back with more of this morning with Soulivity, and we're talking about the connection between sex and our spirituality today. I'm joined by my beautiful hosts, Candice, Harper, and Tami Gaines. I wanted to begin this segment with another great quote from that great article in Respin. It says, "Sex is so much more than just physical. When we consider the spiritual aspects of sex, we are talking about what is happening in the unseen. We are holistic beings, mind, body, heart, and soul. There are different parts to our sexuality, and they all play a significant part in our sex life." And this is a quote from sexologist Cheryl Fagan. Um, what do you guys believe
Sexologist.
Yeah, sexologist, right?
Sexologist.
Sexologist.
What school does she go to?
Right. Man, I had a joke, but I'm not going to say it on there. Tami, I mean, you were talking about this earlier in terms of like how you began your sexual life. What do you believe ties spirituality and sex together for you?
That question, just because I think it's just part of my core of who I am.
Mhm,
I remember
mhm.
I was talking to one of my girlfriends. This is not too long ago, and she was telling me, so she's out on the dating, telling me like she had terrible sex with this guy.
Hmm.
And I asked her two questions. One is like, how long did you know him before you had sex?
Mm.
And she was like, oh, it was like the second date. I'm like, listen. And she's not a hoe.
Right,
She's not.
right,
I think she's desperate for a relationship. So, that's you can't get to know
right,
anybody after like, 2 visits.
right.
Um, and then she was joking around. She's like, "Have you ever had bad sex?" You know what, y'all? I got to tell you something. I don't think I've ever had bad sex,
Mm.
and that is because like I'm spiritually connected to that person. Like when you're in an intimate situation with somebody that you feel like heart energy, like only
Yeah,
good stuff can come out of that.
right,
So,
right,
yeah, I just think it's been part of who I am. You know what I mean?
right, right. I love that. Ooh,
It's a good
okay,
question.
we can end the show on that. Candy, what about you? What
It's on
do
my
you
resume, Brian.
what do you That's what
Under
they're like,
under
"You're
other
hired."
interests. Under other interests.
That's too funny.
You got me speechless on that one. Candy, what about you?
So, touching it, I think this touches back on what you were asking before too. When it comes to sex with a partner or sex by yourself. So, what comes up for me is this idea of being spiritually and sexually aligned on your own, and I think
Mhm.
that is
Mm,
part of what creates the ability to consistently have good sex as well. Like I think that's
right.
what Tammy was pointing at as well.
Mhm,
Mhm.
And I think for me personally, like the times that I have been more spiritually connected with myself, whether I was in a relationship or not, that is when the sex has been better. And yes, the spiritual connection is important, but I don't think it comes without the spiritual connection to the self first.
right.
And I
Mhm.
also think that you can have even, like you said, your friend was having sex on the second date. I think that you can have very, very casual sex and actually experience spirituality if your spiritual connection with self is very strong.
Mm.
It's a different,
Okay,
right? Like it's
okay.
a different kind of approach because I do think a woman who has, and this is not me, I wish it were, a woman who has a very uh powerful shame-free framing of her sexuality, I know these women, but it definitely has not been me throughout my life. Like I said, I was raised Baptist. I
Mhm.
think if you can combine that sort of powerful ownership of your vagina and spirituality, you're gonna find a good time no matter what. Like, you're gonna
Right.
make it a good time.
Right. Right.
Or even
Right.
make it something that is elevating or, physically pleasurable.
You
But
know,
I do think that spiritual piece is big. If it's gotta at least be with self.
right. And I'm gonna take what both of you have said, and I'm gonna talk to our men out here for a second.
Mhm.
Um, because I think sometimes we believe, regardless of, and again, and this is regardless of sexual orientation, by the way. I think sometimes
Mhm.
we believe that our our worth as a man is how we perform in bed. And
Mhm.
Mm,
and that that's you're only getting half of, not even half of the experience,
yeah.
because we also have to go within. We're not taught to do that.
Mm,
Aren't
Mhm.
taught to go within. We're taught to have this outer expression, and that how we're supposed to show up in the world is how things look to other people, right?
right.
Or in this case, how our sexual experience is and prowess is told to
Mm,
us and all that, right?
yeah.
And so this is really, 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 really important, and relates to something I want to kind of talk about in the next segment, which is, you know, I look at all this as we're talking about our libido, right? And I think most people think libido is just purely sexual, but libido, when it comes from the word called life force. That's what it's when it's translated. That's what it means,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it's really, I love this thought of that it's our personal power,
Yeah.
our sense of self, our ability to go after what we want in life. I mean, that
Mhm.
creation, like Candice and Tami, you were talking about this creative part of ourselves.
Mhm.
And so I want to kind of turn in the next segment toward, you know, there seems to be this rigid view of how this is all supposed to work
Mhm.
Mhm.
and what it's supposed to look like. And
Mhm.
we all kind of followed along. I mean, it's in movies and films and all this kind of stuff. And I want to ask you both, like, because it seems like both of you have gone through this process of reevaluation, and I want to explore that with both of you, because I mean, you were born into a society where it was that way, that other way, and then you found your own path. So I
Mhm.
think people really need to hear that from you.
Mhm.
You know,
It's
Yeah.
it's it's very interesting. Like, the way we were definitely,
Mhm.
you
yeah,
either can lean into it because it helps you feel centered sexually, or you need to, like, totally reinvent yourself, which is tough.
Right.
right. So everybody, we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna talk more about sex and spirituality. We'll be back in about 2 minutes. Talk to you soon. Hey there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So, how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. We're talking about the connection between sex and spirituality. And we were ending our last segment with talking about how society puts forth this notion of how sex is supposed to be and what to expect. And so I wanted to ask both of you, and I'll go to you, Tami, first, about your own process that you've gone through, because it seems like that you've gone through this reimagining of what this is for you. And I want you to kind of talk about that and give that to our audience.
It's not a reimagining. I've
Okay.
had like pretty much the same approach, the same thought process, like
Okay.
from the time I was a child, which is where I think it begins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're flawed people, like we all are, right?
Yeah. Right.
But there was a couple of things they did right, and I think they did it right accidentally.
Hey.
So my parents were really young. Like they had 4 kids before they were 24 years old.
Wow.
So I was raised like in our house, there was no shame. There was no everybody walked around like in their, t-shirt, underwear, and sometimes not to go get the
Mm-hmm.
paper. So, growing, and I have 3 brothers, by the way, which this is what I appreciate about them. I'm the only girl. I have 3 brothers. And there was no like, Tami, go put your bathrobe on. There was no shame, and there was no energy first thing in the morning just walking around like half naked, like trying to,
Right.
get some
Right.
food or get in the shower. And
Right. Right.
so that is a really big deal because I think society does 2 things, right? You referred to it. When you watch the movies, like sex is never like it is in the movies. It's never perfect. It's
No.
always kind of sloppy. It's
Mhm.
never like,
Mm-hmm.
Brad Pitt swooping you off your feet like into a 4-poster bed. That's not real life. Like that's I think to counteract what everybody sees in very intentional about how we handle sex at home. Like when my kids were growing up, like by the way, I'll tell you one other thing which is kind of funny. Like we never had the talk when I was growing up, like none of us, because my parents had parties like every weekend. It would
That was the
be
talk.
But my dad had like this advanced sound system, and like I said, they were young. They were like 25 years old, so they would have these
Yeah.
giant parties on the weekend. People were making out in the corner and dancing, which is another way of expressing, sexuality is through
Right.
dance, like,
Yeah.
dancing. So I grew up with just a really open, but I think grounded relationship with sex and what that looked like. And I, raised my kids in a house the same way. Like
Wow.
there was no shame on it. Like even I just laugh. I shouldn't say this, but my daughter's 16 years old. She just walks around like in her jog bra and her underwear for the most part.
Well,
And I'm in like t-shirt and underwear. Like there's no
Yeah.
energy around like anything bad about sex.
absolutely.
And I think
I
that's a
love
big thing.
that. I love that. That's
Mhm.
oh my goodness, that's beautiful. That's the way
Yeah.
it should be. Candy,
Yeah.
what about you? What has been your journey?
Well, mine was very different.
Oh my
Mm,
no,
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 no, no.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, you know what it is? There's that puritanical influence, right?
Woo.
There's that puritanical influence that like layers on top of that very staunch Christian, that layers on top of the shame that I think that my parents experienced when they were young, because I know they went through some things when they were young. They both had a lot of siblings and grew up in abject poverty and were able to like bootstrap up, but still so steeped in the rules of religion and the shame around nakedness, your body, your anything about you that might be alluring or attractive in a sexual
Mhm.
way, even
Mhm.
though it's so conflicting because, you got to dress up nice for church. You got to make sure you look good all the time.
Right? Attract
But
a
don't
nice
do anything with
man.
it.
Right.
Exactly.
And I think the energy in my house, because there was three girls and then my dad. And so the energy in my house was my mom's sort of everybody's got to be a lady. And you gotta be a
Mm.
lady all the time, and you gotta make sure you sit the right way. I mean, I was wearing a girdle at 12 years old at church.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
what? What?
Right?
I gotta go. On that note, I'm gonna take that
Oh.
with me to the rest of.
Oh, that's torture.
Whoa,
Yeah.
Candice.
So,
I
but
can't
you don't
breathe.
know when you're growing up. You think that that's just the way it is, right?
Make it
And when I
tighter.
went to what's that?
Tighter.
Make
Make
it
it
Right?
tighter.
Which is also why I refuse to wear Spanx now. Like, I'd rather run 5 miles every day than have to ever wear
Okay.
a Spank or do
Hello.
anything like that.
I hear you.
But when I went to college, it was like all bets are off because it was such a tight, restrictive sort of energy around sex. When I went to college, I was like a binge drinker. I wasn't
Yeah.
sleeping with a lot of people, because I still had a little bit of that Puritanism ingrained in me. But I
Mhm.
definitely was much more free than my parents would have wanted me to be.
You
Oh,
know what's
And
I
interesting?
went hog wild when I went to college. I almost failed out.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what's funny before y'all? I've had both experiences in one life.
yeah.
Oh
So
boy.
when I was younger, I mean, my parents were more liberal, but my dad was a minister for years before he divorced my mom.
Mm,
And I think his journey was the one that helped me and my brother transform and come into awareness about our own sexuality because he went from, I mean, he was a cool cat, don't get me wrong, he was still smooth, but he was more conservative when he
mm,
was younger. And then
Mhm.
as he got
Mhm.
older and then actually when he remarried, he let the fullness of who he was come out where
mm.
he
Oh,
just,
that's so sweet.
yeah, that kind of thing, right? And so kind of gets me misty because he's not here anymore, but well, he's not here in physical form.
He's here.
But
Yeah, he's here.
Right.
yeah, but those lessons of, hey, be all of who you are, cherish that moment with that woman, make every moment that you're with whoever your partner is, make it very special, try to make it as special as you can.
Mm.
Because that moment will only come, it's only once, and then you can create another moment and then another moment and then another moment. And so I love that. I love the two stories. I love the fact that you guys are sharing, and thank you for sharing that. Because then that's some of this stuff can be a little private. You don't want people to
Uh,
knowing all your
all
business.
all bets are off over here.
Yeah. It's like it's over. You can't,
Ah,
you're only
oh,
as sick as your secrets, as they say.
exactly. We're gonna take
Oh,
another
that's
quick
funny.
break. And when we come back, we're gonna talk more about this and probably give you some tips too. So we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Are you ready to take that first step towards true, unwavering inner happiness? Are you like thousands of people who have everything they need not want but need, and still can't seem to find happiness and fulfillment in their lives? If so, the Steps to Happiness show is for you. On my show, you will learn about the principles and practices that lead to true inner happiness. Because guess what? It isn't found in our external environment, but within ourselves instead. Together with my guests, we will explore the latest physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being practices. And together, we'll advise you on the actionable steps you can take towards a happier, more fulfilled, authentic life. So I invite you to join me each week on Soulivity TV on the Steps to Happiness show with me, Teresa Greco.
And we're back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. I'm joined with Candice Harper and Tami Gaines. We're talking about the connection between sex and spirituality today. And I wanted to make sure that we empower our audience with some healthy tips on how to make this connection work. So, Tami, I'm going to go to you first. You have any tips for folks based upon your own life, like how they can make this connection and maintain it?
I have an extreme tip.
All right, go for it. Let's bring it. Where's the rock guitar?
Yeah, bring the music. So there was a point in my marriage where everything was just wrong. Like it was all just off. Like we weren't communicating. We weren't. Listen, it was all just wrong, and it started to show up in the bedroom, which to me, like your bedroom is like sacred space.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And I was trying to figure out, like, no amount. It wasn't like we didn't need. It was beyond therapy, if you know what I mean. Somebody's couch to talk about it.
Right.
So
Mm.
I started to do some research. Now, by the way, this is like 20 years ago, and I came across this practice of tantric sex,
Mhm.
and I was really completely intrigued with it, and ended up booking a session with this woman in New York City. And when I say a session, you guys, this isn't like an hour-long session. We got there at 7, and we got home at about 2 o'clock in the
Wow.
morning.
Damn.
And yeah, it was really deep. So the tantric is a whole new way of being connected sexually, at a very deep level, profound journey. So she spent the very beginning of our time together helping us release like any shame or trauma or blocks around sex.
Mhm.
Um, and the whole idea is to unleash like your erotic the core.
Mhm.
So that was the beginning, which was talking, no touching. It was literally just talking. She had, um, incense, and then we did energy work we cleared our
Wow.
chakras.
Yeah.
We got really grounded, each of us individually, like really lean into our masculine and feminine energy because we all have
Mm.
both within us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was amazing that journey. It was the journey that was really awesome. It was, a journey for like static union in spite of.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
it was worth the time to learn how to balance and find harmony between like your two spirits. That was a
Mm.
game changer for me. And by the way, like I went into the city, but look, they didn't have the internet back then. Now they
Right.
have Google, and now there's resources out there. But I highly recommend, if you're feeling that you're not having good sex with yourself,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's translating into your bedroom with your partner, then I highly recommend like taking a look at the practice of tantra.
Thank you for that. Ooh, I need some water.
Cigarette.
Right.
Cigarette.
Candice, what about you?
Well, I mean, always, I feel like, one of the main components of any sort of transformation is exploration, right? Exploration and presence. And for me right now, I find myself, even as a relationship coach, on a journey around, what sex is going to look like as I'm getting older, or where I'm at with it now. And, how can I make it more enriching and even better and more spiritual? I think that no matter where we're at it's important to take a spirit of presence and exploration. And I think that's probably what it took, like what Tami's talking about, when her and her partner went to the, the woman who did tantric sex. Like, you have to have that spirit of, it's okay to not already know how to do it and to learn from something or someone else. It's okay to, and also what you were pointing at, Brian, about men having that pressure of having prowess.
Right.
It's okay. Like, I've been with men before that they always think that they have to be some sort of, sexual technician. Like, they have to be, they already know it. But it's like, you don't. You
got the tool belt. You got the tool belt coming into the bedroom. I got my Phillips head.
Exactly. And we got to start being okay with, and women too, like, we got to start being okay with, so you don't have to come into the bedroom with this sort of like, I'm already so adept at it. It's like, just be present with the whoever you're with, no matter where you're at on the journey, especially those of us who feel less adept at it. Like, just learn it as you go, learn each other as you go. And I think that's very spiritual, that willingness to let me discover you and discover myself. Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
I was going to say, like,
Candice, I was going to say, yeah, go ahead, Tami, go ahead.
Say that was so well put, and hilarious, and also true. And it brought me back to, did have like the sex talk with my kids, which nobody had with me, but my son, which is probably awkward, right, Brian? Like, your mom is going to talk to you about this. But I knew
my mom
his dad
talked to me more than my dad.
Okay, perfect. Then I'm not.
So I'm loving you for this.
Well, I was dropping him off at college. He was going to school down in Florida, like, for his freshman year, and we were in Walmart checking out, and we were almost to the front, and there's a bunch of parents with their kids. I was like, "Oh, Shane, you got to go get like a box of condoms." He was like, "What?" I was like, "Go over there and go get a box of condoms."
Yeah.
He's like, "I don't even know where to find them." I was like, "Don't be no, you know where to find them." Go get a box of condoms, because you're not coming home with anything but yourself at Thanksgiving. And then, but that night we were sitting at the table, and I was like, "So, I wanted to talk to you about, like, the whole thing. We don't need to have this conversation." But we ended up sitting and talking. I was like, "Listen, in the bedroom, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
First of all, like, don't go in there like you're armed and dangerous. I already know, like, you're having sex, so I'm not, like, stupid." But I said, all I want to say is, whatever you think you should do fast, do slow.
Right.
Is not important, is the most important. And I said, just lean into the experience of getting to know somebody and getting to know them in the bedroom. It's a very beautiful experience, but it's one I feel like a lot of people just skip for guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll have some final thoughts with each of you. I love this conversation. I think we're going to have for part 2, 3, and 4 of this, because I think this is an important subject, and it's such a rich topic too. So we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with more of This Morning with Soulivity. Hey there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. And we're back with some final thoughts. I'll go to you first, Candy.
I'm just thinking about how it doesn't matter how old you get, that there's always room for play. There's always room for discovery and learning something new. And I think it's Tony Robbins who says, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Right.
And, my invitation for myself and all of us is to just keep up that spirit of growth and learning and the letting go of already knowing.
Thank
Right?
you for that.
Yeah,
Wow. Thank you, Tami.
Yeah. This is such an interesting conversation on so many levels. But I was thinking now during the break that so I have a son with significant special needs. He doesn't feed himself. He eats through a feeding tube. He's on oxygen. He's 16 years old. He's still in a diaper. But somehow, wait for it, he wakes up with an erection every morning that I know,
Well, hey,
Right?
there you go.
which I think is it's that we are inherently
Yeah,
sexual beings. And I
Mhm.
do think we should lean into that. Isn't that just
yeah,
conceptually, isn't that
Yeah,
kind of interesting?
yes,
That he's
totally.
so
absolutely.
like cognitively, impaired, but somehow physically, listen, it's real.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's that
It's
Absolutely.
desire to
encouraging.
create.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
It's just in us like beings. So we should embrace that.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
I'm gonna end this part with a quote again from this great article in Respin. I'll want people to go out and check it out. It's from Cheryl Fagan again. She goes, the connection between sexuality and spirituality is both personal and collective. On a personal level, there is plenty that we can do in order to understand our own sexual and spiritual selves. But this exploration also has a larger impact. Many of us grew up in a society overwhelmed by damaging, destructive messages about sex. Hence, as we do our own healing, it can lead to interacting with others in a healthier manner. To heal the world around us, we must first heal ourselves.
Hmm.
And so that's what this is all about. I look at all of this as healing for us personally and collectively, and it's about us changing our world. Thank you, ladies. This was great. Again, we're going to do some more talks about this
Yeah,
because I think this is important in all aspects, both physical, spiritual, and mental and emotional. So,
Hmm.
Candice, you've got some cool things happening over at Candice Harper Love Coach. Tell us a little bit about it.
I do. I have my intensive program, Love Life Skills for Leaders, and I help women of color and culture, professional women of color and culture, create a love life that loves us back. And I use coaching and hypnotherapy. It's a 12-week intensive. And if you're a Soulivity listener and you use the promo code Soulivity50, sign up for a free consultation. And if we work together, you get 50% off of working with me.
Woo woo. All
Yeah.
Woo!
right. I love it.
Right?
Love it.
And the
Love it.
result is a love life that loves you back, which I think is priceless anyway. So
I love that.
Me too. Me
thank you.
too. Tami, you got another great Tammy's Table coming up on Monday. Tell us a little about what's happening.
Yeah, super excited. So, I am going to have on a very good friend. His name is Ed Blunt. He's a worldwide motivational speaker who's shared the stage with like Les Brown and Tony Robbins.
Mm.
Um, he is a force to be reckoned with. He's going to be coming on, and we're going to talk about how you develop a warrior mindset as you are on your journey to building resilience. So I'm
Wow.
really excited about that.
Wow. That's I think I'll watch that with you. Oh, that's
Yeah,
right. I'll be on there anyway.
I was about to say, yeah, you should.
Right? Like, I hope so.
Listen, everyone, I want to remind you, listen, it is still February. And what does that mean? It means it's still Black History Month, y'all. Don't let these last few days go by without going to blackhistorymonth.gov and exploring this fabulous website. There's so much information about these American heroes that you may or may not know about. That's there. So go check it out, blackhistorymonth.gov, and celebrate Black history, because guess what? Black history is our American history. Never forget. Ladies, this has been wonderful.
Yeah.
I have a big
always
smile on my face.
I know.
Look, I'm
about to
like,
go get a
where's my
cigarette."
man? Yeah, I'm like, where's my man?
Said, baby, you taking off today. This is PTO.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, everybody, listen, I want to remind everyone, please go follow us on social media and go to our website at soulivity.com/this morning to sign up for our mailing list. You'll find out about events and shows coming up and get some access to some exclusive content, including giveaways. This has been great. I mean, let's do it again next Friday. Want to do it again next Friday?
Absolutely.
Listen, on behalf of all of us, I want to say thank you for joining us for another great episode of This Morning with Soulivity. We hope that you come back and join us every weekday at 8 a.m. Eastern for our live broadcast at soulivity.com. Or you can listen every Thursday and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific on KMET 1490 a.m. for all of you out on the West Coast. Until next time, keep on having real conversations that empower you. Learn to live your life with passion and purpose and create that best life today. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.